Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to make these macrame cats. Now this bigger one is made with 1mm satin cord and it will be ideal for like a pendant. And these smaller ones are micro macrame made with 0.3mm nylon thread and they could be ideal for say earrings. So if you want to learn how to make these, then stay tuned. And these are the things that you're going to need. You'll need a scissor to cut your cord. And then you'll obviously need your cord. In this case I'm using 1mm satin cord. I'm using black and white for the actual cat. You can obviously choose whatever colours you want. And then I'm just using a blue one for the bow. And then you'll need some glue to finish it off. And then I have two beads here, some Stardust rondelles for the eyes, some bigger beads, and then I have a small black one. It's just like a metal spacer bead, and that's for the nose. So get your things together and then let's get started. Now the first thing you want to do is cut a short length of your cord. And like I mentioned, in this tutorial I'm going to be using 1mm satin cord. This is not a particular length, it's just long enough for you to work with because you'll be cutting ends off at the end anyway. So just cut a length off, maybe 20, 30, 40 centimeters. You don't need any more than that. Fold it in half so you have the loop in one end, and then at the other end where your ends come together, just make a simple knot. Like so. And then in this case I'm using a macrame board, also known as a project board. I then grab one of the pins. I go through the loop on the cord, not through the cord but through the loop, and then I do the same at the other end. This is just to fasten it to the board so you can keep working with it. Now what I recommend that you do is you cut all your cords ready so they're ready for you to use. I've already done that. I'm working with 4 white cords and 6 black ones, so you need 10 cords in total. And each of these cords need to be about 70 centimeters long. You can obviously choose whatever colours you want to work with. You can make it all the same colour if you want to. That's completely up to you. This is just what I'm doing for this tutorial. So now the first thing you want to do after getting all your cords ready is you want to attach them to this one, so you can start working with them. Now for this particular type of cat, this pattern that I've used, I get a white one first, a white cord, I folded it over in half so I have a loop in roughly the middle, and now we want to attach them to here. So what we do is feed that loop underneath the initial holding cord, feed it underneath, and then you want to pull your ends through that loop and then tighten it. And that's what's called a lax head knot. Now that's your first one. The next cord I do is a black one. Do the same thing, fold it over in about half so the loop is roughly in the middle of the cord, feed it underneath, pull the ends through and pull it tight. And just push it next to the other one. I get another black one, same thing, a loop in roughly the middle, feed it underneath and pull the ends through and push it over. Another black one, so this is the third black one on here. Attach it again with a lax head knot, tighten it and push it over. And now you want to get another white one out because we're now reaching the middle. Same thing, the middle, feed it underneath and pull the ends through the loop. And just push them over just so you have space to work with on here. It doesn't really matter because you can move them back again. And now get another white one, fold it in half, attach it to here, now we need to go back to the black ones. Because we now reached the middle and we're working our way back out. So basically we'll be mirroring the other side. So that means another black one again. And then the last black one. And then your very last white one at the end. Feed the middle underneath and pull the ends through. And now that's all your cards attached. So you just push them so you have them about the center, just so it's easier for you to work with. So imagine that it's split right down the middle. These two sides are the same if you're using this particular pattern. So that's how you attach your cards. So now you want to actually start making the cat. So if you try and imagine throughout the whole piece really, that it's kind of split down the middle, and everything you do on one side, you do the same thing on the other side, but mirrored. So opposite of what you've done on the first side. But I'll show you along the way. So the first thing you do is I start on the left side. I grab my first 4 cards, which means the first white one and the first black one, which have then been split in, so there's 2 coming out from each. And then you want to do square knots to begin with. So the 2 in the middle, naturally they're coming out in the middle. Keep them in the middle, and you have these 2 that are going to be your working cards that you're going to form square knots with. What you need to make sure of in the beginning, you need to try and make sure to do the square knots in the right way. That's the only maybe real tricky thing here. So on this side, you grab your inside card first and put it over to start making your square knot, and then your outside one, which in my case is the white one, you want to then feed underneath and then pull it through the loop like so. And then pull that tight. That's the first half of your square knot. To finish the square knot off, you start with the opposite side, so the black one again in my case, feed the other one underneath and pull it up through the loop and tighten that. So you now have one full square knot. So that's your first one. And now you want to move over to the other side and get the 2 outermost, well 4 outermost cards on this side, on the right side. Again, you get the 2 middle ones that are going to be your holding cards. And you basically do the exact same thing, except you want to start with the opposite card. So you do it mirrored. So in this case, you start with the inner one again, which is then on the left side. Say the outer one, feed it underneath, and pull through the loop. And then pull the first half of your square knot tight. Like so. And then you take the outside one. So in this case of using this particular pattern, with these 2 knots I started with the black card both times. So maybe that it might help remember it that way. And feed the other one underneath and pull it through the loop to finish off your square knot, like so. So So you now have 2 square knots, one on each side, that are opposite each other. Now at this point, what I just like to do, because you created your first couple of square knots so you have something for pins to go into, is I kind of push it up a bit, and then I just put a pin in one square knot and then in the other side as well. And obviously with the pins you can always take them, put them in, take them out as you go along. Right, so now you need to form the next couple of square knots. For this, the first thing you need to do is, in my case the 2 white ones, the 2 most outer ones, just get them out of the way for now. So you got these 2, and then you grab the very next 2, which in my case are also black. And now you're going to make a square knot with these. So again, the 2 middle ones of them are going to be your holding cords. And again, you want to start with the inside one to form the square knot. So make the loop, feed the other one underneath, and then pull it through the loop. And then pull it tight. And as you're pulling it, try and make sure, it will probably happen a bit naturally, but this top bit, the top row, starts curving down a bit. You can work with it a bit as well as you go. And then to make the other half of the square knot, like so. Tighten it all really nicely. Push this down a bit. The way you can help make the curve is hold the knots and then pull your holding cords a bit. That will help pull this top line down a bit. So that's on one side. So you've now made your second square knot on this side. And again, you now want to move over to the other side and repeat. But do it mirrored again. So find your cords, put them white ones aside, the outer ones, the previous 2 you used, and then the very next 2. Use the 2 center ones as your holding cords, and then do a square knot again. And again, this time you start from the inside. This is where you want to make the loop. And you take the outside and feed it underneath and pull it up through the loop. So like I said, this is the only thing you got to be aware of, really. The most difficult thing, really, but confusing thing, is that you get these square knots right, because that's what's going to form the right pattern on the cat. And then the other side of it, and pull it tight, and then again just grab your 2 holding cords and pull them while you're pushing against the knot. So now I have 2 square knots on each side. What I want to just do is just take my pin out and just move it a little bit to force it a bit more into position so you get the right curve. So you want to push the 2 ends upwards and push the middle down. So you see it's slowly starting to form that curve. And then you've done this side, so you go back to the other side, first thing you do is you want to now go back to the outside. So you grab your 4 outermost cords, the ones that you used originally, and on here you want to make another square knot. So the 2 middle ones are your holding cords again, and again, because we're on this side, we start from with the inside cord, and then grab the other one, feed it underneath and pull it through the loop, and then pull it tight. And all you want to make sure of as well is that your holding cords stay in the right place so they don't cross over as you're pulling the knot tight, because that'll make them switch place, which will end up changing up the pattern if you're using different colours. And then do the outside one to finish off this square knot, feed it underneath and pull it up through and tighten that. And again, you can grab your holding cords and push the knot up a bit, just to make sure it's in the right position, like so. And then we'll move back in and grab the next 2 cords, and then again grab the very next 2 here. So you have these 4 cords. So they're the ones, this knot is basically going to be right next to the one that you just did. So again, the 2 middle ones are your holding cords. Because you're still on this side of the middle, you want to still again start with the inside cord to start your knot. So make your loop, feed the other one underneath and pull it up through, and then tighten it. And then as you go on, you can pull your holding cords down. That will help the curve, like I mentioned. And then do the outside, feed the other one underneath and pull it up through and tighten it. Again, pull it so it sits right, like so. And then what I like to do is move over to the other side and repeat the step, but just mirrored. So you go back to your outer 4 cords and you want to make a square knot here. And again, you start with the inside one. Make the first half of your square knot. Make sure your holding cords stay where they need to be. Do the other side to finish off the square knot. And tighten it. And push it up. And that's that one. Put them aside. Then you grab the next 4 cords, which in my case are all black. And then again, you start from the inside, so you create the loop over your 2 holding cords. Use the other one, feed it underneath and pull it up through the loop. And then tighten that. Pull your holding cords. Put the other one over to create the second half of your square knot. Pull the other one through the loop and then pull this tight. So you now finish off both sides with these knots. So what I like to do just now is to help these curves and form the right shape. I like to take these outer, the original holding cords, and point them upwards. It's going to help with the shape, like so. And you can always just release these, and again just adjust the shape a bit. Because what we're aiming for is a set of pointy ears, like so. So you've done two sides with this, and then on the same row you're now left with the four middle cords, which in my case are all white, and you just want to do a square knot on here as well. And because it's the middle, it doesn't really matter what side you start with. The only thing that matters is that you start with the same side down throughout the whole middle. So I start on the left just because that's what comes natural to me. Pull the knot tight, do the other half, feed it underneath and pull it up through the loop. Like so. And again I grab hold of my holding cords, push on my knot and pull to help with the curve. Like so. So you're now back to needing to start the next row. So you've done the middle one, so I go back to my left side, and again I leave the two outer ones, in my case the white ones, I leave them out because we're done with them for now. And then I take the very next four cords, in my case all black, and then do another square knot on here. Remember, start with the inside cord, feed the other one underneath and through the loop, tighten it, and then do the other side. Tighten that, and then I just grab my holding cords again and push the knot up and just tighten it so I know it's nice and tight. And then I just move over to the other side and do the same thing. So grab the outer four black cords, I leave out the very outer two ones, in my case the white ones, and just do a square knot on these. Start with the inside one again, feed the other one underneath and pull up through the loop. Make sure your holding cords are in the right position, and then tighten that. Do the other side. And tighten that. And again, just push a knot up. There you go. And now we're left with the ones in the middle. Put the other ones to the sides to get them out of the way a bit. And what you do now is all the middle cords you have left, split them in two groups, right down the center. So you have four on each side. Two black ones are the outer ones, and two white ones are the other ones, in my case. Again, the two middle ones will be your holding cords. Start with the inside one again to form another square knot. And then pull that tight to the other side to finish off your square knot, and pull that tight. Again, I'm just going to push up the knot, and you get the other four. You do the exact same thing but opposite because it's on the other side. Two center ones are your holding cords. Start with the inside one, in my case the white one. Lay it over, feed the other one over, underneath them all, and pull up through the loop. And then you tighten, and make sure your holding cords are in the right position, so they haven't crossed over, and do the other half of the square knot and push your knot down. Just make sure everything's nice and tight, like so. And now you move on to the next row. The white ones, the two outer ones that you left out from the previous row, you still leave them out, you're done using them for now. So what you do now is the outer 4 cords, the two outer ones of those, again you leave them out. So you now have the 4 outermost cords left out. So what you do now is you then grab your next 4 cords, which in my case are all black. So basically, from the previous row, you now have 2 cords coming from one knot and 2 cords from another knot. So you're then going to use them cords to join a knot with them to basically connect those 2 knots from the previous row. So again, you're on that side, on the left side, you start from the inside and then make a square knot. And then the other half. Like so. You move over to the other side and do exactly the same. You leave the 2 outermost cords, leave them out. You grab the next 4, 2 center ones are your holding cords, and then again start from the inside, form your square knot, tighten that, and the other side of it, and tighten that. And then you go back into the middle, because you now have the 4 middle cords where you need to do a square knot with them, like the very top one you did. So this is just going to be all white in my case. And I'm going to again start with my left side just because that's what comes natural to me, because that's what I did on the top one. So just do a square knot with your 4 middle cords, do the other half of it, like so. Now that's that row done. So what you do now is move back to the left side, grab the 4 cords that you used for that square knot, and again the outer 2 cords, you want to leave them out. Just put them to the side along with the other ones you've left out. So you're now left with these 2 black ones, and then you take the next 2 from the middle, in my case white ones, the ones that are furthest to the left, put the other ones to the other side, do a square knot with these, so your 2 middle cords, your holding cords, one of each colour in my case. Start with the inside because you're still on the left side of the middle. Tighten the first half, then do the other half. Like so. And then move over to the other side, do the same thing. Leave out your 2 first cords from the previous knot, push them to the side, get them out of the way, and then grab the 4 cords you have left. 2 black ones and 2 white ones. Because you're on the right side of the middle, you still start with the inside, which is on the left side in this case. And then start forming a square knot on this. do the other half of it. Like so. Make sure everything's nice and tight. And you're now basically left with this. So the very last step to do now in this section is the middle. So what you do is, in my case, it's fairly easy to distinguish because my middle 4 cords are white. So all I do is leave the 2 black ones out, pushing to the side. Well, actually the 4 that I just made knots with. So again, leave out 2 outer ones on each side. So you're left with 4 cords in the middle, the very middle 4 cords, which in my case are all white. And you want to do one last square knot. Again, start with the same side that you've done throughout the whole middle. And it'll probably be just what comes natural to you anyway. So, the other half. Finish off that square knot. There. Just make sure everything's nice and tight. So you've now basically finished off the ear part. All you want to do now is just create some borders so you can continue. So what I do is I bring all the cords back down, all the ones we've left out throughout. I just like to bring them down, pointing downwards really. And then you start on one side. Actually, you can split this in half again. So go right down the center and then put one half to the other side, so you don't get too confused with your cords and grab the wrong one. So you take the very outer cord, which in my case is white, and you take that over. I start on my left side, so I take from this side and grab it over to my right hand on top of all the other cords, and I take the very next cord coming from underneath, which is also white, and then do a half-inch knot. So you take it over your finger and pull it through the loop. And then you hold your holding cord taut in the right direction that you want it to go, and you pull your knot tight. And you do that one more time over your finger and through the loop. Hold your holding cord taut and then pull your knot tight. Because what you're doing now is you're forming a row of knots underneath all your square knots to basically finish off the shape. So again, the holding cord is constantly on top of all your other cords, which are coming out underneath. The next one, you want to make sure to grab the very next one, try not to cross them over. That's now your working cord. Put it over your finger, through the loop, and pull it down. Over your finger, through the loop, and pull it down. And grab the very next one. Always just double check that you've caught the right cord. Over your finger and through the loop. And one more time. You always want to make sure to do 2 knots with each cord. Grab the very next one. Over your finger and through the loop. Over your finger and through the loop. And keep going. Grab the next one, over your finger, through the loop, over your finger, and through the loop. The last black one in my case. Now I've reached the white ones, over your finger, and through the loop, over your finger, and just make sure to get the right one. Do 2 with the same one, over your finger and through the loop. This is now my last cord on this side. And as you can see, you now got this straight line coming down at an angle underneath all your square knots. So all you got to make sure of is your holding cord to hold that in the right direction. And then push those to the side, grab all your other cords from the other side, and do the same thing but mirrored. So take your outermost cord again, take it over all the other cords, that's your holding cord. The very next one is your first working cord, over your finger and through the loop, and pull it tight, over your finger, through the loop, and pull it tight. And grab the next one, over your finger, through the loop and pull tight, and one more time. And keep moving all the way down. In exactly the same way that you did on the other side, but just mirrored. Each time remember to grab the very next cord, try not to have them cross over each other, so just double check as you're going along. It's my last black one, now reach the white ones. And the very last one, over your finger, through the loop, pull tight, over your finger and through the loop and pull it tight. Now that's basically the top part of your cat finished. So this is now how your half finished cat looks like now. So you've finished the top part and you've finished your rows underneath. So what you need to do now is these two cords that you used, that was your holding cords throughout these two rows. You now need to get the bead that you want to use for your nose ready. And all I want to say is the only thing you need to make sure of is the bead that you're going to use. The hole in that bead is big enough for both cords to go through. So you take one cord first, you find the end of it. So if you're using something like satin cord or something made of similar material, you can always singe the end and roll it in your fingers, because that'll make the end a bit thinner and more manageable, and it'll be a lot easier to get through your bead. So you take one side, doesn't matter which one, and you just put your bead on there first. So you now have your bead on one cord and the end is coming out here. Now you want to take the other one, and what you want to make sure and do is that you put this cord through the bead as well, but the opposite way. So you're going to have the ends coming out on each their side. So I have my end coming out on this side, which means I'm going to go in through that side. Now depending on the bead you're using and the cord, this can be a bit fiddly trying to get through. But just take your time and work with it. I might have to just do this off camera because it could take a bit too long. But you want to make sure that you feed the other opposite, the second cord, through the opposite way of the first cord. So do that and then I'll show you what to do next. So I've now managed to feed my bead onto both cords, and as you can tell they're coming out like this. I have both my ends coming out the separate ways. So all you do now is grab hold of your ends and then flip it so it fits, and then all you do is pull tight so you get the bead to sit down here in between the two rows. So reach that step and then I'll show you what to do next. So you've now got your nose in place. Now the next step is to start forming the rest of the face and then put the eyes on. So what you want to do is take one side at a time again. So you grab one of these ones. I'm just going to start on the left, it doesn't matter, because you'll be doing the same thing on both sides, obviously just opposite from each other. And lay all these cords out so they're roughly laid, organised, so it's easy to grab them. So this one is going to be a holding cord, the one coming out from the nose. And then you want to grab the very first cord underneath, and that's going to be your working cord. So you hold this, and then you take the other one around your finger and pull it through the loop, and then pull it down tight, and one more time around the finger and through the loop and pull it down tight. Now what you want to do with this, when you're making this row of knots all the way along, you want to hold this cord straight across, because you want this line to be fairly straight, the first one. So you don't want it to go straight up underneath the other one, because you want this space where you're also going to put the eye in. So that's your first one. And grab the very next one, which in my case is also white. Put it over your finger and through the loop. Over your finger and through the loop. The next one. Always your working cord coming underneath your holding cord. Over your finger and through the loop, and tighten that. Over your finger and through the loop. And the next one. Over your finger, through the loop. Over your finger and through the loop, and pull tight. Now what you're going to start to be able to see now is, because you're making this row go straight, you're going to have this space basically where you just have 3 cords. And they're going to form a little bit, it's going to be like a triangle this way, but they're going to kind of fan out, so it's going to end up looking like nice and rounded. So at this point, what I like to do is now I want to add my bead in to get the eye in place. I've now come to a point on this line where I want to add my bead to form the eye. Now, you can either do this on just one of the cords, say if you have a bead where the hole isn't big enough to put both through, but in my case I have this basically like a Stardust rondelle that I'm going to use, and I do prefer, if I can, to get both these 2 cords through the bead. It's not necessary at all, it's just personal preference really. So I put one cord through the bead and the other one, and they're both going the same way. Like so. And then push the bead all the way up there so it sits where you want it to sit, and then you just continue working in the same way. So your 2 cords are then coming out from the bead, so you just split them up and do 1 cord at a time. So again, you grab this, that's your holding cord, and then your working cord that are now coming out from the bead. Take it underneath and then over your finger and through the loop, and pull it tight. Over your finger and through the loop, and keep holding your holding cord as straight across as you can. And then the next one coming out from the bead, there, and then we'll reach the other ones on the outside of the bead, over your finger and through the loop. Just keep doing the same thing, except now it'll go just along the outside of the bead. And the last black one, over your finger and through the loop. Now what you can do, because if you just hold this straight and pull tight, this loose part of the cord will just kind of come straight down. I like it to just, once it's done, have it rounded a bit. So all I do is when I tighten the knot, I pull my holding cord down just a little bit at an angle. Not too much, just a little bit. Like so. Because then when you make it come up straight, it forms a nice shape. And then the last white one. And I do exactly the same with this because I want it to be a bit rounded and not just straight down. Second knot. Just pull it tight. And then let it go. And then it's more rounded, as you can see. Now you can either decide to continue on the one side and finish that up, or you can alternate from side to side. I'm going to just go over to the other side and show you. It's exactly the same thing, just obviously opposite. So now the cord coming out from your nose bead, but on the other side, is now your holding cord here. And that's on top of all the other cords. So again, you grab the very first one, put it over your finger and pull it through the loop. Over your finger and through the loop. And the next one. How many cords you do before, say, you add your bead or something, is kind of completely up to you. It all depends really on what cord you use, the size of your bead and that. It's just where you feel like it would look nice being placed. This is just where I do it. And the next one. So I've now reached the point where I want to add my bead to this side. So I've already threaded it on. I'm going to push it down and then grab my holding cord again, separate the cords out from the bead, take one at a time and keep making the same knots that I've been doing the whole time. Over my finger and through the loop, 2 knots with each cord. Over my finger and through the loop. And then I've reached the outside cords. Over my finger, through the loop. One more time. And again, on this side I would just want to pull my holding cord down a little bit as I'm tightening the knots, just to get the nice rounded curve when I bring it back up. Like so. So you've now attached your eyes in. So the next step is to basically finish off making the face. So you still have your 2 sides. Basically your cat is still split down the middle. These 2 cords that you were just using, your holding cords from before, the first row you made, you can put them aside now because you're done with them. So you go back to your middle, do one side at a time, put the other cords a bit out of the way so they don't get mixed up. You go and grab the very first cord from the inside, so it's this one, and this is now going to be your holding cord. So you bring this over all the other cords, and then you take the very next one coming from underneath, and this is your working cord now. So you keep doing what you've been doing, the same kind of knots, over your finger and through the loop and pull it tight, over your finger and through the loop and pull it tight, and put that to one side. And now what you want to do, you don't want to make a row straight underneath the other one, you want it to come down at an angle. And again, exact same way you do this is your knots end up being placed in the direction you hold your holding cord. And then the very next working cord coming from underneath, over your finger and through the loop. And then now when you're tightening your knots, you want to make sure that you hold your holding cord in the angle that you want your row to be. Over your finger and through the loop. And very next cord. Make sure you always double check you've grabbed the right one. Over your finger and through the loop. Over your finger and through the loop. Next one. Pull it tight. Keep going till you finished off this row with your finger and through the loop. Always making 2 knots with each cord. And as you're working your way outwards, when you're tightening your knots, you don't want to do it too tight because you might risk pulling this row down a bit. It's just getting the balance right. If you did pull it too tight, you can always just undo it and redo it, it's no big deal. Over your finger and through the loop, and tighten. And the last one, the outer one, that's white in my case, over your finger and through the loop. Now this is the one you want to be just most careful about not pulling too tight. Over your finger and through the loop. And that's that row done now. You take all those and put over to that side, and you do exactly the same on the other side. So the very first one is now your holding cord, going over all the others, and you start making your knots again. Over your finger and through the loop. And all you want to make sure to try and do with this one is get it at the same angle as you have the other one on the other side. Over your finger and through the loop. Make sure to check you've got the right cord each time. Over your finger and through the loop and tighten it. Second knot with that cord. And the last one, the white one. Like so, and that's that side done. So you now move back over to the other side, put these out of the way. Now that's the only thing that's really a benefit by alternating sides, is it's a little bit more likely that you get your angles correctly, because it's a bit easier to compare when you've just done one side and you go to do the other side. But again, it's completely up to you. And then the holding cord from your previous row, that's coming out of the end of the row, you also want to put that away because again, you're done using that now. So you now go back to all the cords on this side. You grab the very first one, which in my case is the last white one on the inside. That's now your holding cord. Bring it over all the others. And then keep making the knots. Over your finger, through the loop, and tighten. Grab the next one. Over your finger, through the loop. Over your finger, and through the loop. And now this row, again you want to kind of form a triangle with this and the previous row. So again you want to be coming out at an angle, not straight underneath the other row. The last one. Tighten that, like so. And then again you can put this holding cord from that row out of the way, you're done with that. And pull all these to the other side. so they're out of the way, and go back to the other side again. Grab the first one, which is still the last white one on the inside. It's your holding card now. Grab the very next one, it's going to be your working card, and again go back to making your knots. And obviously this row you want to try and make sure to keep the same angle as the one you just did on the other side. And like I said before, the angle that you do your row in is determined on the direction you hold your holding card in, really. Almost done with this row. The last one. Like so. Again, this holding card from that row, put it out of the way so you don't get your cards mixed up. And then again you go back to the other side. You have no more white ones left on the inside, not in my case, it's a black one. But then there's still the very first card, don't worry too much about the colours. This is now going to be a holding card. And you grab the very next one, that's your working card. You pull them tight. And in this row you want to start coming even further at an angle, just like you've been doing. This row is going to come almost completely straight down. Not quite, but almost. You have one more row left after this. Just keep making your knots over your finger and through the loop, over your finger and through the loop. 2 knots with each card. The last one, the white one, to finish off this row, like so. And again, move over to the other side. Grab the very first card that you got coming out from the previous row. The very next one is your working card, over your finger and through the loop. Tighten it, over your finger and through the loop, and tighten it. Keep grabbing the very next card. Finish off this row. And the last one. Like so. And again, now you want to make your very last rows. You go back to the other side. Again, grab the very first card coming out from the previous row. That's your holding card. The holding card from the previous row, put that out of the way. Now this row you want to basically come straight down. So you grab the next card to be your working card, put it over your finger and through the loop, and you just hold your holding card straight down. And tighten that. Next one. over your finger and through the loop, and tighten it. And then the last one in this row, which is now your white one again. Finish off this row and tighten that. Move back over to the other side. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Grab the very first cord and have this row also coming straight down. So over your finger and through the loop, and then pull that while you're holding your holding cord straight down, over your finger and through the loop, and pull it. Next cord, over your finger and through the loop, over your finger and through the loop. Keep going to finish off this row. And the last one, over your finger and through the loop, over your finger and through the loop. There. So you now have something that looks roughly like this. And you have all the cords you've been working with coming out down here towards each other, which means it probably looks a little bit like a mess and a bit confusing, but they're coming out from each their own side, so you can keep them separate if you can. Now next thing you need to do is to connect this area, so you can connect the two sides and make it one piece. So what you do is you grab your very top cords, basically again going back to the very first cords coming out from the two rows that you just made, but because they're facing downwards, it's basically the top ones. So you keep a hold of them. These are now going to be your first holding cords, because you're now going to go back to making square knots. To do that, you need to then grab the very next two cords again, one from each side, the very ones that are coming out very underneath the ones you just grabbed. So you basically have two sets of cords, top ones and below that. You can try and like fasten down if you need to make it a bit simpler. I'm just going to hold them and I hope you're going to be able to tell. So you have your two top cords, your holding cords, going down through the middle, and then the two cords below that, one from each side, you're going to use to make your square knots. So all you do is keep these two together and then make your regular square knot. And then tighten that. And the first one is going to be the has one, just because it's all loose at the moment. But just tighten it, and then you can use your two holding cords and pull them down a little bit. Now that's the first half of your square knot. You need to make the other half now. There, tighten it, and just while you're here, this is the first knot, just use your holding cords to tighten it all up, like so. Now that's your first one. What you need to do now is incorporate all the other cords into this. So you grab hold of your holding cords, your working cords, just leave them to the side because they're going to continue to be your working cords. What you need to do now is grab the very next two cords coming from one from each side, ones right below these ones. And now all these four are your holding cords, sorry. So you just hold these four together now, and all you do is make another square knot around these four holding cords. And tighten that. Do the other half of it. And again, you can just push it up a bit. Now that's your second square knot. You're now gradually incorporating all your cords. Again, you then grab hold of your four holding cords. And then you want to grab the very next ones and now incorporate them, so you now have 6 holding cords basically. Grab the very same working cords, make another square knot around all these holding cords. Tighten it. Make the other half and tighten that. So you've now reached this point where you've incorporated all your black cords from the sides using your working cords. You ended up with 6 holding cords for now. Now what you want to do is your working cords, bring them into your holding cords, like so. And then what you have left are these white ones, the very last coming out of the last rows you did. All you want to do now is make a square knot with them around all these other, in my case, black cords. Make sure that square knot falls right underneath the other ones. And make the other half of it. Like so. Tighten that good. Make sure it's all nice and sits correctly. And now again you bring these white ones into your other holding cords. You take these very next ones, in my case the very next black ones, also bring them into your holding cords. And then these two coming out from a row, the same one on each side, in my case the last black ones, these are now your working cords. So just make another square knot with them around all of these cords. You now have a whole bunch of holding cords, which are ultimately going to end up forming the tail on your cat. And then tighten that up. And this one you don't want to just tighten completely because you're going to affect the rows that you've made before. So just tighten it gently, because as you're making more knots it will hold in place anyway. Make the other half of the square knot. And tighten. Now that's your first square knot. And it's now really held in place, so I just make another one here, exact same way. And the other half of it to finish off the square knot, like so. And it's now time for us to incorporate the bow. So you've now reached this point where basically your cat is pretty much done. Now what you want to do is just make a little bow that you can add onto it. And for this I'm just using blue satin cord, same thickness, 1 mil still. Now all I do is I cut a decent length, not much at all, you don't need much for this. It's just enough for you to work with. So I've done about that much, maybe 30 centimeters in total, if that. Just cut that, and I want 2 of this length. It's just roughly, it's not precise. Like so. So what you want to do with that is fold one over, so you have roughly the middle. And then I like to just hold it like this. You can fasten it down to a bow, but we just attach with one cord, so I don't really think that's necessary. Do the same thing with the other cord. Fold it over to find roughly the middle, and then just feed this underneath and then pull your ends through. And now that's attached. And all you do is the first cord that you did, the loop you have on that, you just want to pull your ends through that and then pull tight. And you now have basically a little knot in the middle and 4 cords coming out, 2 on each side. And then you want to cut another 2 lengths off that are going to be about the same size as well, because everything you do now on one side you'll be doing the same thing on the other side. Now this is going to probably have to be your longest one. It doesn't have to be, again, that long, but it's just enough for you to work with. And just make 2 of that. And then before I start working, what I'm just going to do is fasten this down to my board so it doesn't move around too much. And for this I'm just going to have to go straight through the knot. Like so, and it's not going to be moving around. Now what you want to do is get one of the cords you just cut off that has a decent length on it. This might be 40 centimeters, 50 tops. It's probably going to be way too much anyway, but you also need to make sure you have enough to work with. So you start with one end. You want to leave a fair tail on it because you want to use that when you're done with the bow. So all you do now is you start on one side, so you have one cord coming out from the knot that you just made, and then you feed the loose one that you just cut off underneath, and then I just normally grab hold of them, take the other end and put it around the knot, put it around the cord, basically your holding cord, like so. So it's just fold it around your cord basically once, and then you do the same thing, but you move down to the other side, the bottom side of it, and then go through, feed your end around your cord and underneath, and then pull through this loop that you created. And then you want to pull that tight. Hold your holding cord tight when you're doing this. And that's how you attach a cord in this way. And then you want to push this all the way up. So you now have this, your original 4 cords, well 2 that turns into 4, 2 on that side coming out, and then these 2 that you attach together in the middle. And then you have this one longer cord that you've attached to this cord. So you're now ready to start filming one side of the bow. So you want to get this, one of these ones you just cut off out. This is the longer one you want. And then you want to grab the one you just attached your longer cord that's going to be running through the whole thing, and you want to attach this short cord to that. The way you do that is you fold this over in half, find about the middle, so you have a loop in the middle, and then you feed that loop underneath that cord, and then put your fingers through it, and then pull the ends back through. So it's like so. And then you just pull that tight, and then you want to push it all the way down so it sits right next to where you attach the cord. Like so. So that's attached now, and now you want to finish off this row. So what you do is grab the other cord coming from the middle, put that in one hand, that's going to be your holding cord now, and then this one coming from underneath that you just attached a cord to, that's your working cord. So you put that over your finger and then pull it through the loop, and then you tighten that down. One more time, over your finger and through the loop, and then pull that down tight. So you now have these two cords in the middle are the ones that you just attached. So basically created your first row, and then these two are the ones originally coming from the middle, and then this is your long cord that's going to be going throughout the whole thing. So what you want to do is now is come back around. So you grab this same holding cord again, but with the other hand, and then take your working cord back underneath, and you just make the same knots, so over your finger and through the loop, and pull them down, over your finger and through the loop, so they now sit right above the other ones. This is basically how you are then creating the frame, the outside of your bow, and you're then going to fill up the inside with rows. So you're now in a position where you're ready to make the next row. To do that, you then use the cords that you just attached in the previous row. So this is your holding cord now. So you grab this is coming from the side, going above these two smaller cords. You grab the first one, put it over your finger and through the loop, and then you pull it down, over your finger and through the loop. You always do two with the same cord. You grab the very next one and do the same thing. Over your finger and through the loop, over your finger and through the loop. So now you've finished off that row. Again, you've reached the end. So now what you want to do is grab this outside one, hold it in one hand, the other one's coming underneath, and you want to make knots with that one. So over your finger and through the loop, pull it down, over your finger and through the loop, and pull it down. And again, you keep hold of this, still your holding cord, but you switch hands, and the other one that you just used, feed it back around underneath, over your finger and through the loop, over your finger and through the loop. And again, you're now again in a position to make the very next row. So what you can do now before you continue, because you have finished a bit more of a piece now, so there's a bit more to attach onto, I like to just get out another pin and put that in between the rows, just to stop it from moving around too much. Like so. So you now want to start making the very next row. So this is again now your holding cord. So you grab, that's above again, you grab the very first cord coming from the previous row, that's now your working cord, put that over your finger and then pull it through the loop, pull it down, over your finger and through the loop, and pull it down. And now, because this is one half of the bow, so what you want to do is almost make a triangle shape. So what you want it to do is graduate outwards. So that means that you'll now need the other card that you cut off. This is just the shorter one. And you now need to attach this to this card, because you're in the middle of the row. So before you grab the very next one and make a knot, you want to just attach one in between. So fold that in half, so you have a loop in the middle, feed it underneath, put your fingers through it, and then pull your ends back through. So you have this. And then tighten. And then put it all the way down, sit right next to the other cords, or the other knots. Like so. So that's now in the middle. And you're ready to grab the next cord coming out from the previous row. And then make a couple more knots with that. Tighten that, sit right next to the cord you just attached, over your finger and through the loop, and pull tight. And now you reach the end of that row again. So now you grab the outside cord, that's your holding cord now, and the long one you're working with throughout, put it over your finger and through the loop, pull it down, over your finger, through the loop, and pull it down. And then again come back around, switch hands, still have this one underneath, put it over your finger, through the loop, and pull down, and repeat, like so. And again you're now in a position to form the next row. So that's your holding cord now. It's coming above all the other cords. So you just grab your very first cord from the previous row, put it over your finger and through the loop, over your finger and through the loop. Grab the next one, over your finger and through the loop, and repeat. Always 2 knots with the same cord. And the last one in this row, over your finger, through the loop, and tighten it, like so. And again you've now reached the end of this row. So this now becomes your working cord. So over your finger and through the loop, pull it down, and one more time, there you go. And as you go along you can always add in more pins to secure your work. And then now what we're going to do is make the very last row. So you pull it back around again, switch hands with your cords, over your finger and through the loop, over your finger and through the loop. Again you're now ready in position to make the very last row. So again this is coming out above all the other cords. You grab the first one, put over your finger, through the loop and pull it tight, over your finger, through the loop and pull it tight. Grab the next one, and in this one I just continue all the way along. I'm not going to add in any cords in here because this is going to be the last row. And the last one. Over your finger and through the loop. And then just to finish off this row you just need to make the end of this row. Just like you've been doing the whole time. Like so. And that's basically this side of your bow done. As you can see, it's basically formed a triangle now. It's graduating upwards. And if you can notice on the outside, which is almost what I kind of call the frame, you have your knots going that way. On the inside, to fill out the frame, you have rows of knots going the opposite way. So all you need to do now is repeat on the other side. So I just flip it around and keep all these cords out of the way. So just grab the other long one that I cut off in the beginning, and again, like before, you want to attach it, but you want to do it the same cord, so like keep it on the top, so stay on the same side. So like before, keep hold of this one, make sure you have a fair bit of tail, feed it underneath, and then put the end just around the holding cord, so you have what looks like this. So it's just forming around it, and then go underneath that, do exactly the same thing. So feed the end around your cord and have it come back underneath, and then pull it through the loop that you created, so it looks like this, and then pull it tight. Pull it tight and then push it all the way down, just like you did before. So you now have your long cord ready to form the other half of the bow, and all you do now is repeat what you did on the other side. And then, so do that, finish up, and then I'll show you what to do next. So I've now finished both sides of my bow. So I take it off my board, take pins out, and obviously, as you can see, we have loads of cords left. We need to get rid of most of these. So what I do is I get my glue. For this, stuff like this, I really like to use this Hypo cement glue, because when you open it, got some glue in there. As you can see, it has a really fine tip. So it's really handy for getting into right where you want the glue to go and not have glue go all over the place, basically. So all I do is, you want to get rid of all your cords at the end and then this bottom one. So all I do is just go around the ends with the glue, make sure to grab both the actual cord that's coming out, but then also where it's coming out from, so when you cut it off it won't unravel. I go all the way around, and I do it on both sides as well. Like so. Same on the other side. Flip it around to the back. This is just to make sure that when you cut your excess cord off, that nothing's going to come undone or anything. So you do that. Now you have these two at the top, which are the tails that you left when you attached your very first cord to work with. Them two you need to leave on, so you don't want to put any glue on there. So you put your glue on, leave it to dry a bit, and then all you want to do is cut off your excess as close as you can get, obviously without cutting into your actual bow. So get it glued, cut off the excess, and then I'll show you how to put the thing together. So I've now cut off all the excess cord, and I've now left with the bow and the two tails that I left on there. So all you want to do now is just use these two tails to wrap around the middle, just to make that nice and neat, and so you're going to be able to attach it to the cat. All I do is take one tail first, wrap it around the middle just a couple of times, like so, and then you grab the other tail, and all you want to make sure to do is go the opposite way. So the first one I went around back, came around front. With this one I want to make sure to come around the front first and then around the back. So just wrap it a couple of times like this, and then all you do is flip it over, just hold it down, and then I just use these two ends to tie just a regular knot, just to keep the whole thing in place, just like so. So that is now ready to be attached to your cat. So before we attach the bow to the cat, you can do it now if you want to, but I'm just going to get rid of some of all these cards so it's not too confusing. Now what you want to do is, you want to get rid of some cord, but you don't want to cut them all right close, because these are going to be whiskers on the cat. But before I cut anything, I like to just get my little glue out again, the very fine tip, and all I do is just put a tiny little bit of glue around just where the cord is coming out. It's only a very little bit. It's just because it's satin cord and it can be a little bit slippery. I want to make sure that the very last knot doesn't move around. So it's just a very tiny bit, both on the front and the back. It's just for extra security, especially say if you're going to be using it as a pendant or smaller ones as earrings. They will be moving around and going against clothes and stuff, so you don't want them to be able to come undone. And the same thing, I just do it up here with the ears, just where the cord is coming out. Like so. Put the glue away again for now. And then all you need to do is then get your scissors, and the ears you can cut. I don't cut them right next to the knot. What I do is I leave a little bit of cord and cut there. And the same on the other side. Just have a little bit of excess, because what I like to do is then just get a lighter and just cinch down that end, because then you can kind of push it flat like so. So it definitely won't go anywhere, it won't come out or anything. Like so. Get rid of those ends, and then you can cut down the whiskers. Now the only thing with this is, it's just to try and get them even. You can make them however long you want them to be. That's completely up to you. And you can always cut them a bit, and then obviously cut a bit extra here and there to just fine tune them afterwards. So you could see about measuring them if you want to. I'll just do it by eye. Like so. And you can obviously leave them like this and make them shorter, but this is just to show you. I'm going to cut them down a bit, they're a bit long. Just roughly something like this, and then all I do is with satin cord, just the very end of it, I just ever so slightly touch it with the lighter. All this is for is just to seal up the end, just so it doesn't, with time, like unravel or anything. like so. So that's done. So now what you need to do is attach the bow. So now all that's left to do is basically attach your bow to your cap. And you already have your bow ready. So all you need to do is right below all these square knots that you made on here, to get all your cords gathered, you want to place your bow on there, and I just then take one of the cords and feed underneath, just so I can get to make a knot. And all you do is you grab both ends, and all you do is make just a very simple regular knot. Nothing fancy to that. Take the other end back around, so you have your bow sitting on top of the cat in front, and then you have your cords coming around all these cords to then form a knot on the back side. So you then grab your cords and tighten them nicely, so the bow sits on there nice and tight. And then my cords are here now, still blue ones from the bow. I bring them back around to the front and make a knot on the front. Again, just a very simple regular knot, and tighten that really nice and tight. So your bow now sits there, and all I just do is flip it to the back and just make sure that this knot sits right below all these square knots. If not, all you do is just push it up. Right? And then all you do, what I just like to do is to just grab my glue again, just to secure these knots in place, the blue ones that you just made, in my case the blue ones. So I just put a little bit of glue around this knot, and if you get a bit onto these cords that forms the tail, that's completely fine. If anything, it just adds a bit extra security. So just put some glue on here, and I do it on the back side as well, so everything is nice and secure. And then all you want to do is just let it dry a little bit, and then cut off the excess cords from the bow, in my case the blue ones. Get it as close as you can get it down to the knot. So I've now cut off that excess cord, and my bow is attached to my cap. All that's left to do is just finish off with a couple of square knots just to secure this whole thing. So you go back to the black cords you were using above your bow, and all you do is just make a couple more square knots. Make that nice and tight. Do the other half. And you can do however many you want. I like to just do 2 below the bow. Like so. And then you can just push them up a little bit to make sure they're nice and close. And then the only thing left to do, pretty much, is just get rid of these excess cords. All you do is get your glue back out, and then because you've made square knots here, you now have, what you do is you get your glue and fill up this little well, the very last one you made, and then you just get it around the excess cord as well. Do the same thing on the back side. like so. And get rid of your glue, and then when that's dried, you want to cut them off as close as you can get. On both sides. Like so. And then all there's left to do is determine how long you want your tail to be. So just get your scissors out and cut them all to the same length. Unless obviously you purposely want them to not be the same length, that's completely your choice. Like so. And then you have your little tail and your cat completed. And then, like I said, if you want to make it into a pendant, all you do is attach a jump ring at the top of it. And then that's how you make a macrame cat. I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you for watching.